to episode 54 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my guest this week, and my returning guest is Chuck Joyner from the MacVoices podcast. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm great, David. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, thanks for being here. We had some scheduling challenges tonight, but we were committed to get this show in, so I'm so glad you're here, and there's a lot to talk about. At the beginning, when I did my notes, there wasn't as much. I thought the news was kind of quiet, but then something big got announced here, so we'll talk about that in a minute. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our top 10 apps that we like and that we use all the time. And I thought that'd be a fun thing to do. And if we have some time, we'll hit upon the news app, because I think that'll be fun, because that's kind of what's going to be happening in this event that we just found out about this. What was it, this afternoon as we record this?
Yeah, well, we think we know what's going to happen, but with Apple,
it's
you're
showtime.
Never sure.
Yeah, we know Apple.
Sure.
You never know. They sent out the invitations to all the media. You didn't get your invitation, Chuck? You're in the media.
It must be in my spam folder.
Must be. But this time it's going to be held on Monday, March 25th at the Steve Jobs Theater, which I think will be the first time that they don't announce an iPhone product or an iPad at their facility. So that's going to be a cool place to see it, because one of these days I want to get out there and see it. The event's, their tagline is called Showtime, which we're thinking it's within the lines of the rumors that they've been focusing on services rather than hardware. So I'm thinking it's going to be probably the Apple News service, which I touched upon in previous episodes, adding a paid subscription service to the options of Apple News. Do you use Apple News? I know you're a big Flipboard user.
I'm a big Flipboard user, but I use Flipboard a little bit differently than maybe some folks do. I've dipped my toe into Apple News. It's funny. I really can't say that I have a dedicated news app. I'm not sure it's the best thing, but I tend to get my news through the social media channels to see what's hot, what's not. I do try to subscribe to some of the, well, I was about to say more credible sources, but I'm not sure there are.
Yeah, there's a lot of fake news out there.
But the ones established perhaps is a better word.
Sure. Well, no, yeah, and you have an awesome the MacVoices group that's really getting a lot of traction. I stay active in there and post a lot of great articles, as well as you do, and Norbert does also as well. So we got some good. You got some good sources there all by yourself, right?
Yeah, that was sort of the idea with MacVoices magazine on Flipboard and the article of the day. Everybody. Yeah. Everybody wants to learn new things. There's so many op-ed pieces out there, and so much clickbait. And I really have tried to focus
that's great.
on putting quality articles in there, so that if you read that, you're going to learn something about whatever the topic is. You may it may not suit you today, but hopefully it'll suit you tomorrow.
Yeah. So it looks like I know the magazines are on board for wherever they had, because, of course, Apple, it's about right around a year ago, they bought the company Texture. And Texture had about over 200 magazines that were in that subscription service. So it's looking like Apple is finally going to take that service and merge it into the news app, and then offer I would say an inexpensive subscription service, maybe something like $10 a month. They're talking about that. But it is interesting to say if they really want to get the newspapers like the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post and the New York Times, and would those three big content providers be all in on a revenue stream like that? What would you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a spot out there sooner or later that's going to find a way to get folks to pay for quality news. Apple has as good a shot as any with the number of iPhones out there, the number of iPads out there, the overall experience with those devices. So I think they have a shot at it. The question is, will people pay for news at this point with so many other places reporting it, summarizing it, regurgitating it?
But it's, like you said, a lot of garbage out there. So, but if it was $10 a month, I might be willing to do it, because I'm going to get a lot of good news and a lot of good sources. So, we shall see. So we got a couple weeks here.
Yeah, and I think it depends a lot on how it's curated. If I'm getting the full text of the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or the Washington Post, Not sure that won't turn into just one more noise source for me. So but then, one man's news is another man's something that they pass over. So, it's a tough thing right now.
It is. It is. So we'll see. Like we always do. All of us enthusiasts love sitting around and watching the event and see what they talk about. And they had mentioned kind of possibly there being an iPad Mini 5 and then maybe a 7th gen iPad and then the AirPower pad. That's been 2 years in the making, and new updated AirPods. Even the 7th generation iPod Touch possibility, but I think it's all going to go to the side coming soon, and I don't think any of this stuff's going to get talked about because, again, Apple really is seeing that services is going to be their big thing for making money. I mean, because now the iPhone is not making as much money as it used to, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I'd like to float a possibility, and this may just be me, but if there is a new iPad Mini 5. Mm-hmm. Would that be the perfect news reading device? Because it's almost the size of a Kindle. You've got Apple, you've got Apple Music, you've got Apple Books, books. You now would have a news source in a device that is super convenient to carry around. I mean, it's not quite as nice as a larger iPad, but it's also a lot more convenient. So would that fit in well with what we're all speculating on?
Right. So yeah, I would think it could very well fit into that scheme. So it's definitely gonna be interesting. They're also saying Apple just released today the developer beta 12.2 iOS. I think that's beta 5. I'll talk about that in a minute. And they did say that there was a signs of subscription service already being spotted in the update. So something's it's happening. It's just a matter of how much and what's going to be in the content. We really we'll see. But it should be interesting, don't you think?
No question. One more service from Apple.
Yeah, and probably more money out of my pocket. More than likely.
Well, you've got so much, David. Just spread it around a little.
Yeah, well, I do. So another cool thing actually that Apple did was I was very surprised they did this because we're always buying. We've always talked about where we would find the App Store gift cards or iTunes gift cards, and you get them for like $20. You get $100 for 80, so you'd get like a $20 bonus, which was pretty cool. And every time I would see those gift cards, usually they were on eBay and then through PayPal Gifts, I think it is, I would buy them. But Apple today announced that this is actually only going until March 14th as we record this episode. A 10% bonus when you add funds to your account for the App Store and iTunes purchase. Did you see this?
I did see this, and I thought you stole my thunder because I was going to point out that if you buy some of the discount Apple gift cards, you get a 15% discount. Here, you're getting a 10% bonus. So which is the better deal, and how easy is it for you to get the discounted cards? But anyway, you take it. It's still a nice touch for maybe folks that either don't know about that or that just don't want to bother with the hassle of finding the gift cards when they are on special.
Well, I did it. I wanted to see what happened. If it was really true. So I threw $100 into my account, and then I got $110. So what the hell? It was I always want money in my account, and so that means I got a little extra for it. And you could do it right from the iPhone, which was actually really cool. Because you can go right into the account, and then you're going to want to add funds because they hadn't done that for a long time. I ended up always having to buy gift cards. You recall that? I mean, I don't ever recall them doing that until like within the last year or two. But you funds like that.
Yeah, and I think this was up to $200 they would match.
They'd give you $20 for $200. Yep, and of course, both articles we've talked about so far, I'm quoting through Mac Rumors, so the links are in the show notes. But they show screenshots of how you are able to go in and add funds to your Apple ID, which is pretty nifty. I'm glad they do it finally. So I don't have to buy gift cards unless I get the ones like we talked about. So, check that out. More information and stuff in the news. We had, as I mentioned, Apple just released the 5th developer beta. I know you're not a big beta guy, right? You don't dabble in that now, right?
No, I've tried a couple times, and I just never get around to actually testing, legitimately testing. I will do some beta testing of software. OS is a little bit shaky, so I just don't participate in that.
and you and I both working in the enterprise and in the business world. We don't do beta testing at all, so we're kind of familiar with not doing it. So, but they did see the fifth beta. Again, this is on Mac Rumors of 12.2. And it looks like, as we talked about, they are expanding some of the news. Interesting, all of our friends in Canada now have Apple News. They didn't have it for all these years. And I think Apple News has been out for at least 2-3 years now. I think our friends in Canada have it now, right?
I believe so. Well,
at least when 12.2 comes out, not as of yet.
Right.
And of course, there's always going to be the need for more emojis. there's a giraffe, a shark. I think that's a sow, and there's an owl.
I honestly missed that part in the notes, but yeah, that'll definitely be the high point of it for me.
I figured it would be. And then, of course, the big thing, we've talked about this before, is the AirPlay 2 announcements about, with the different TV manufacturers adding AirPlay 2 support. Samsung, LG, and such. They're adding that support into the Apple device with the remote. And it'll be, and when it's, you'll also, looks like some things that'll be added with TV OS, where you'll be able to ask Siri to play specific TV shows, which I guess you couldn't do that before. And of course, that silly 5GE icon is in there from AT&T, which you've talked about. That's and some other different things. But take a look at the article. We've got there's a lot to be coming out here, which I'm pretty excited about. So. We always like new OS updates when Apple officially releases them. So I would anticipate that this does get released during the announcement on March 25th. That's been pretty much Apple's track record. Don't you think? Yeah.
Either during or right after. I would agree.
Other article that caught my eye was replacing the batteries in your AirPods. Are you using AirPods right now? I'm just not using them today. Your battery life been okay? I'm assuming you've had them since they came out.
I've had them after, not right when they came out, because I was not an early adopter on these because I was a bit of a skeptic. Sure. But I've had them since, I guess, the January after they were introduced.
Okay.
And I haven't seen. Let's put it this way: I haven't noticed any deterioration. I use my AirPods a lot, but they tend to go in and out of the case. So I can't say that, I run them right into the ground very often.
Well, this article is on Apple Insider. It actually shows the batteries of them actually taking it apart, which is interesting to see how the battery is. It's actually in the stem. And it looks like the batteries really were bad in theirs, showing like the 67% charge, and then the left one and the right one are having challenges, and then the batteries were low. And so, how much does it cost to repair it? Well, Apple will do it. They will repair it. There's battery service for the AirPods, and they charge $49 each. Like, okay, that's $100. So you could probably, I guess, you save $60, but you also have older AirPods, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't think any of us really thought about that part as we started to adopt these. Don't misunderstand. I would not give up my AirPods. I love these AirPods.
I do too.
You didn't think about them as having a finite life.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, well, they're batteries. So check out this article. A lot of good information if you're interested about AirPods, and it will definitely give you some insights if you are having challenges with your AirPod batteries. I would think most people aren't. I haven't heard too much. This was the first article, that's why I caught my eye here. It's the first article I've seen. They actually talked about the replacement of batteries. So. What else we got here? And the one article I wanted to bring up, and this actually was on iDrop News. This is a more obscure site. I don't know if you ever checked their stuff out, Chuck.
This was news to me.
Yeah, this is a different site. I've been following this one for a while. This site, and they've got some good information. They have a lot of pop-ups, which is kind of annoying, but so does Macworld. So, the debate whether you should how often you should shut down your phone. Do you shut down your phone at all?
Not on a regular basis.
No.
And it's oops, sorry. Siri's
talking to
something. With the Mac, I do. I
Sure,
do
of
a bit of
course.
a regular shutdown cycle. With the iPhone, I'm embarrassed to say I never really gave it much thought. I just turned it on, and
Okay.
there's an update or something that needs to restart it. Yeah, but I can't say that I shut it down and restart it on a regular basis. And
Okay.
maybe it's a good idea.
Well, I actually do. I do shut it down maybe once a month. I had to do it the other day because all of a sudden I was looking at my iPhone and it seemed kind of sluggish. It was working kind of weird. Then all of a sudden I go back to the homepage and look at all my apps. My bottom row's gone. Like, where's my row? I'm moving around, and then it finally came back. I said, I think it might be a good idea to do the shutdown. If most folks don't know how you do it, if you don't have an iPhone, you have the iPhone 10 or higher, or what you do is you have to push the volume up, the volume down in sequential order, and then hold the power button down, and that's the hard reset. Now, if you want to do it with like an iPhone 7, you could still do it with the power button and the home button. The iPhone 8 is the same way. The volume up, volume down, and then power hold down for reset. Of course, you can hold the power button down that just as a power down, but that's just shutting it down. It's not actually doing a hard reset. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, there's always been that debate whether or not you should do it or not. I'll do it at least once a month, but when I see it, the phone kind of acting up, I'll probably do it again. So, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I can't say that I've never had a row disappear.
Yeah,
like everybody, I think I've had my phone get a little wonky at times with different things, but I only with this particular phone, I've never had to do any kind of hard reset.
Yeah.
The regular shutdowns have been just fine. So
okay.
I have to do a little research here and see what I can figure out.
So I've piqued your interest with this.
You have.
So check that article out. It'll be in our show notes. So let's go on to our discussion for tonight or today. Is our top 10 apps. I thought this would be fun for both the iPhone and the iPad, or both, necessarily which ones you actually do. I wanted to kind of review which, in no particular order, some of the apps we go, and you and I can just kind of alternate here instead of me reading off all my lists here and vice versa. So I'll start off here, and one of my favorite apps is PDF Expert. Do you use that?
I do not. I do not.
Yeah, PDF Expert, I think, is by far one of the best PDF readers and editors out there. It's very flexible. It's available on the Mac as well, and it gives you a lot of very good flexibility when it comes to annotations and being able to edit pages back and forth. A lot of great flexibility with that, and PDF Expert is just a very, very good product. It's made by Riedel. I know you guys. I know you've interviewed the CEO of Riedel at one point, or
several times. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure he's mentioned it. And that's one. I think that's one of their big products, and it does very well. But which PDF file program to use?
I tend to use PDF Pen.
Okay, well, I have that too. I do it. Well, of course, Smile, a sponsor for you. So, but I do also have. But you like it, but you believe in it.
Yeah. I was going to say it's
not necessarily that. Right, it has something to do with it.
But I find it does everything that I need it to do and more, and they continually update it. So,
and they do.
Riedel is also a great company as well. So nobody's playing favorites here. It's just what suits you.
That's I'm kind of going to give your idea of what it does. But the nice thing is it syncs nicely with iCloud. So when I'm looking at a particular file, a good example being for those who know I also do my podcasting on horse racing. We get the programs every week. I want to be able to edit them and look at them and mark them up and all that stuff. I can have it on my iPhone, look at it, and put it and store it in iCloud. And I go over to my iPad, look at it a bigger view of it, and the same annotations are there, ready to go. Don't have to do anything, and works very well with any file sharing service, including Box and Dropbox, and of course iCloud. So check it out. It's I believe it's. I have to look up the price. So we'll have the link in the show notes. But it's not too terribly expensive. Again, it does have a Mac version of it as well. And PDF Pen, as you mentioned, PDF Pen Pro. I've paid for that for a long time. Whenever a new version comes out, I just renew the upgrade because it's if I don't do that, then you don't get the good deal because the upgrades, just like anything, you get good pricing. Right.
Right.
So, go ahead and tell us your first top apps, your top 10 apps.
Okay, well, I think we should both make clear that these are in no particular order.
Right.
I started to try to order them. It's like, well, this is just impossible. Forget it. So I'm going to start with Overcast.
Great program.
I adopted Overcast as my audio podcast player, and I very specifically say that because Overcast now will download video podcasts, but it won't play the video. It'll only play the audio. Right. But there were two killer features as far as I was concerned. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any question that Marco Arment has the best multi-speed algorithm out there for cranking things up. And I'm constantly trying to find ways to do more in less time, or at least squeeze more into the time I have. Yeah. And so the fact that I can play at double speed and listen to it, it also has a setting that will remove a lot of the silences as people normally speak and pack it together a little more. So that just gives you a little more speed. But the one last thing that I found is that you can upload audio files to Overcast when you're a subscriber. So audiobooks or whatever, and you have that same control over the audio.
That's great.
There are plenty of audio players out there for iOS, for audiobooks and all. But the fact that I could integrate it all into one app and have Marco's speed technology, I'll call it, that was it. That was the killer for me.
Yeah, no, it's a great app. I'm a subscriber as well because I'm crazy. I got to subscribe to lots of things, but being a podcaster, you have to play with all the podcasting apps. I've pretty much, if I look at my phone right now in my podcast folder, I must have at least 5 different podcast apps that are in my folder. But do I use them all? No. I'll go back and tell you my favorite podcast app is Downcast. I don't know if you've used that or not, but
I have, and that is my second favorite, and that's what lives on my iPad, and that's where I tend to use it to subscribe to video podcasts.
Yes, and that's what that was what kind of held me up with a lot of the other different podcast apps that only do audio. I want them to do both. I got to watch MacVoices, and it's much easier to watch it through Downcast and be able to watch a video. Of course, Overcast won't do it for you. But the other nice thing I like about Downcast is the way it just orders all your podcasts. I mean, I looking in my library right now. I have 90 different. I'm subscribed to 90 different podcasts. Do I listen to all those podcasts? Of course not. I have not enough time in a day to look at those. So, but I want to be able to have them in there to be able to search through. And if I decide I want to look at or listen to a podcast, it's right there. But I love the support of that. And of course, Overcast has a lot of very similar features with it. But the big key for me was video. I always end up going back to Downcast when it comes to listening to podcasts out there. So, but it's good to know is your second best, and I guess Overcast is my second. So, flip right there. So,
exactly.
What's your third one?
So my next one would be Waze. And simply because I do a fair amount of driving for work, and I really appreciate the fact that Waze, not only can it provide navigation like Apple Maps and Google Maps and all, but you get those real-time alerts from other Waze users on the road. So if there's a speed trap that pops up, if there's a deer that gets hit on the road, if an 18-wheeler's retread comes off, somebody's going to punch it into Waze, and you're going to know about it most of the time before you get there. Yeah. And that to me is invaluable because that's not something that everybody else offers. Mm-hmm. Yes, I know I'm giving up some privacy because by the very nature of it, I have to have a Waze account, and that means they know where I am and what I'm doing and all that. But it's a trade-off I'm willing to make.
Sure. It's a good app. I like it too. I'm glued to Apple Maps. I don't know why. I just continue to use Apple Maps, but I need to start using Waze more. Sometimes it's not as accurate as I thought it was, but it's definitely great. And well, actually, Google owns Waze, right? Didn't Google buy Waze?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Somebody bought Waze. I can't remember.
Somebody bought Waze. You may be right.
I think Google did buy Waze, and you're just letting it run independently. So
okay, well, it's one more thing that Google knows about me.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. They know everything about me anyway. I can't worry about it. My next app is Just Press Record, and this is a really nice app that allows you to be it's kind of an extension of, or it's an updated version of the voice memos app that Apple already provides, and it does allow you to be very flexible with recordings. You can go in and has a lot more settings that you can change as far as settings goes. It does auto transcribe, where you can actually transcribe short recordings, and you can make changes to that or all recordings. So that's kind of a cool feature it has. No, I really like the app. I don't know if you've used this one or not.
I have not. I know about it, but recording things on my iPhone is just not something I do that often. And when I do, the voice memos is adequate for me.
Sure. I think it wasn't a terribly expensive app, but that's the one I liked. What is your next one?
My next one is Gmail, which may surprise some folks. But the Apple Mail app just has a few challenges for me. I do use it for a couple accounts, but I just find that consolidating things in Gmail, again, we're talking about that compromise of privacy over features.
Sure.
But Gmail just does so much. It's pretty much bulletproof. And I'm sorry, just nobody does search better than Google.
Great.
So if I'm trying to find, a note from David Ginsburg from 1999, the odds are that if I can drill down enough, that Google will find it. And that's just a killer feature for me, because I gave up long ago filing my emails. It seemed archaic and a burden. And so now, and 98% of the time with search, I can find it just fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a good app. I use it. Are you able to use it with your custom domains too, or just Gmail?
No, with custom domains.
Yeah. See, that's what's great, and it becomes a one-stop shop, just like the Apple Mail is. And I agree, the Apple Mail can be challenging.
Yeah, I wish I didn't feel that way. And of course, Joe Kissel is notorious for his feelings about Apple Mail.
Yes, he is.
And so maybe I'm biased. He may have influenced me, but yeah, it's the way it is.
No, I mean, if it works for you, that's what's perfect about it. So, other app, I was going to skip around here. One app I like, I am a Sirius XM subscriber. I think we've talked about this before. I know you're not. Sirius XM has done something phenomenal with music, and I got to pull the app up so I can remember. But they've added like 100 different alternative stations that break down the different genres. It's called All Extra Channels. There's 100 different channels they have. Things like today's workout hits and 70s, 80s, 90s pop mashup. You go from 90s and 2000s pop-up mashup and 80s pop top 100. So it just goes on and on with these different channels, which is really awesome, because here's classic rock, so classic vinyl top 100, 60s and 70s rock. It goes all the way to the hard rock stuff like you like Kicks and your different bands that you enjoy. So they've really done a great job. Right here, this is the hard rock, new and classic hard rock mashup. They've added all these channels, and I was pleasantly surprised to see this, and I started playing them. I was like, this is fun. I don't even have to think about it. Just let it play, and it's all I know. Most music I'm going to enjoy. And the app itself, they've completely redesigned it, so it's real easy to navigate. You can add different favorites, which are there, and I've got my favorites in there. Of course, Howard Stern's still on there, and he actually has a lot of. They're doing video for his show too. I know it can kind of be a little disturbing sometimes what he shows and what he does, but sometimes he's fun to listen to. So he's on there, and of course all the comedy, and I mean they have the George Carlin channel, which I love. I really love George Carlin. I miss him. He's just one of the funniest comedians that ever lived. If you're a subscriber, and if you get just the streaming version, or you get it as part of your phone, part of your audio radio package, check it out. They've done a really amazing job with this app. I'm very impressed with it. So,
good choice. Good choice.
So I'll let you go and pick your next choice. Of course, you have Apple Music, so.
Yeah, well, I'll jump down to that. I use Apple Music. It's the only music service I currently subscribe to.
Yep.
I have my playlists built in there.
Mhm.
Um, I've gotten away from some of the automated discovery stuff.
Hmm.
As an aside, Pandora still is my choice for if I want to listen to something and have it try to suggest some things to me. But
Okay.
the others, after a while, it seems like they sort of feed you what you would expect. I can almost guess at not necessarily the track or the artist, but just what I'm going to get out of any of those stations. And so I'd rather, if I'm going to do music discovery, I'll do it through something else. But Apple Music suits me just fine when I'm looking for music. It's on my iPhone, it's on my iPad, it's on my Mac, and it's just fine for me. It has everything I need it to do, and of course, there's Apple Match that improves the quality of some of my older things that I've purchased or ripped. So it's just a win-win across the board.
Yeah, you mean iTunes Match?
Or iTunes Match. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said Apple
I
Music.
still keep.
Yeah.
I still pay for that too. I know there's been some debate about whether or not it's worth keeping anymore if you have Apple Music, but I think it is because I mean, I go back to the days of that probably have all my hard drives still sitting with 60 and 70,000 songs sitting on them when I used to listen to music that way. And there are some songs that aren't that you can't get on the Apple Music store, but there's still a lot too. I'm an Apple Music subscriber as well. One thing if I were to get the Apple Music into my car, and I currently do not have a car that has Apple CarPlay, that would probably be a game changer for me when it comes to versus Sirius XM, because I would have that option to be able to be much easier be able to listen to it. Because right now, when you drive, and if I don't have CarPlay, it's very you shouldn't be doing it while you're driving. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but I mean, some people really like what XM offers, and I take nothing away from that.
Yeah.
If you're a Howard Stern person, great. If you are a talk radio kind of person, then there's just about every kind of talk radio you can imagine on Sirius. So, yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. And I know a lot of long distance people, they prefer Sirius because it stays consistent.
Mm-hmm.
They don't drive in and out of radio stations. So, yeah, it's all what works for you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so I subscribe to both services. Well, my wife really enjoys the Blend and the Pulse. Those two channels that's their two most popular music channels on Sirius XM. So she loves listening to it in the car, and that the cool thing with the car is that's all integrated into the radio. So. And of course she's got a newer car than I do, so she's got access to more of the channels because my car's a little older, so it doesn't have. I don't think all of these other channels, unless they're going to change the radios. I don't know, but to add all those extra channels I just got, but I think that was pretty cool when they just did that, and it gives it even more of a flexibility being able to listen to music. But yeah, I mean, I think Apple Music is great too, so it's hard for me not to have both services going. So. But yeah, we love music, so why not?
Yeah, exactly.
So I will go in, and I'm almost guaranteed you probably use this app, is 1Password. I think 1Password is by far one of the best password management programs out there. By far, I subscribe to the Teams. They have a family Teams where you can have multiple people that are subscribed and sharing, and as well as creating your own private password vaults. Works great on iPhone, works great on iPad, works great on your Mac. I think even they have a Windows version, and I think just the way it does, the way it manages passwords is by far the best. I mean, I know people like LastPass and a couple others, but to me, I think it's one of the best. I assume you use it too.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. It's funny, it didn't make my list just because it's so natural that I kind of forgot about it. But yes, I've absolutely loved 1Password, and I guess it's only responsible of us to put in a plug for any password manager. 1Password is our choice, but whatever you like, for heaven's sake, please use a password.
Yeah, and the great thing now is it's got integration in iOS where you can. Just like with the iCloud keychain, you can use it as your password manager of choice. So when you're going to a website, it'll automatically populate for you. I've talked about that in previous episodes. So that's a great feature in iOS. I actually use both. Do you shut off iCloud Keychain?
Yeah. I've turned off iCloud Keychain just because it ends up getting kind of confusing if you don't.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I like having both, so it gives me a choice of storing both. But one of these days, I'll probably clear out iCloud Keychain and be done with it. So, what else? What else do you have?
Well, I'm going to throw in Camera Plus 2.
Okay.
As one of my preferred camera apps, but this is the one I just keep going back to. It's got so many features. Again, I'm somebody who aspires to take better pictures, and I try, but I'm always looking for the shortcuts. And this app, it has everything that you, as far as I'm concerned, that you need for my class of photographer. But the killer feature, as far as I'm concerned, everybody has filters, right? And corrections and that kind of thing. They have, though, a filter they call Clarify. I don't know exactly what it does, but it just makes photos stunning.
Mm-hmm.
It almost looks like HDR level photography, but without you having to do anything. Just a single photo, snap it, and then apply the Clarify filter, and things just pop. And it's very, very seldom that I don't enjoy the effect that it gives my photos. So that's one reason I use this as a go-to, because it'll save in one of the RAW formats, one of the lossless formats for the iPhone, so that if you do want, to do some extra manipulation outside of it, you can do that. But with that Clarify filter, most of the time I just don't take the time or the trouble to do that, because it just looks so good.
You just spend more of my money because I just bought it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I mean, I was a Camera Plus user for a long time, and that was with the original app, right?
Yeah.
I think Lisa Bethany, I remember her was the one that originally helped design that app. So it kind of looks like it's great that it knows that it evolved into this. So I'm definitely gonna start playing with this. So
yeah, I think you will enjoy it.
Yeah, so that's a great choice. I'll kind of package both of these together. YouTube TV. I am subscriber to Xfinity, but I also I've been dabbling into looking at what YouTube TV has to offer. One of the great things about YouTube TV is when you travel, it goes with you. So when you have in my case, I have Xfinity. So when I travel outside of my house, I only have access to certain channels and certain things to watch. If I'm not in home, I can't watch it. Where YouTube TV, what it does, it travels with you. So let's say I'm in Las Vegas and I want to be able to watch the local ABC channel in Las Vegas. Well, I'm able to do that. ABC, NBC, CBS, all the local channels are on YouTube TV. They are still extending a lot of more channels to it, but it has quite a bit for its cost. I believe it's $40 a month. It really depends on how much you like TV and want to be able to have access to things. But I've been actually enjoying it. I actually had the $35 plan, and I'm still doing that. And we'll see how it goes. I might just decide to cancel it at some point. But that's a great service that's available. And looks like Google's really pushing hard to get more channels added to it too as well. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that at all.
I have not. You just may have spent some of my money back because I didn't realize there were those local channels on YouTube TV, and I'm just looking it up here, and it looks like at least several of mine are on there. And so,
wherever you are, of course, me being in Chicago, so I'll have all my Chicago local affiliates. But if you travel anywhere in the country, once you bring it up, it'll just pick up wherever you are. Those channels will be available in that local area.
Well, frankly, I'm thinking of it from a cord cutting standpoint.
That too, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
If I could stream the local news, then I could dump my cable subscription. Oh, David, you may have just altered my life.
Because I'm looking at it now, and it's got all my local Chicago channels, including I have a local channel called Channel 26DU that's on here, as well as I don't know how much you're into sports. There's a lot of sports channels, Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2. NBC, and so it's got a lot of sports. So it is kind of heavy on sports channels, but it's got the other stuff like AMC and Cartoon Network and FX and Independent Film Channel and all kinds of stuff. USA. So it's got a fair amount of channels. So it's really doing a good job of expanding. When it first started, there weren't as many. I believe you can get like HBO and I'm not sure about Showtime. If you wanted to add it to it, then of course, just like in cable, that's extra. So, but yeah, check it out. It's and the other thing too is it streams. You actually can stream it to a Google device if you wanted to. And so if you happen to have one of those, you could stream it as well. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's the thing. All these cable companies are becoming more and more restrictive of what you can do. I thought this is great. This is a great app. We spent people's money here.
Yeah, what I'm intrigued by just looking at this, I will take more time to look at this offline.
Yeah.
The thing that bugs me about my cable package, and I have one of the lowest that you can get,
sure,
is yes, I get all the major networks, but then they give me the really useful stuff, like 17 channels of shopping.
That's right.
And so, at least theoretically, I'm paying for that, and that just really bugs me. I'd almost rather pay a few bucks more and get channels that I really would use. So, yeah, you just may have cost me some money, Dave.
Well, I might have saved you some money too.
Well, it depends on the way you look at it, but yeah, quite possible.
And then I packaged that along with YouTube, the YouTube app. I'm a premium YouTube subscriber, which is another $10 a month, and I don't know if you do that.
No, I do not.
But I love that fact that when I go to YouTube now, I don't have to deal with watching all those cockamamie ads they play every time you watch stuff. So there's no ads, and then also have some premium content that you can watch as well. So it makes the user experience with the YouTube app a lot better, and works flawlessly with your account. You and I both have YouTube accounts that we publish stuff to, so integrates nicely. I'm assuming you've used the app for that reason. But I think Google has done a great job of making it a lot easier to navigate through it. And then of course with the premium, you also get you get the music app that goes along with it. So tons of music on YouTube too. I mean, have you ever explored the music? I mean, on YouTube, it's pretty amazing.
It is, and it's interesting because there's things that are out of print that you can find on YouTube.
Exactly.
That you aren't going to find on Apple Music, for better or worse, or any of the other services. So it is a good place to go and check out. I haven't found the value in it
to
pay the money for it when I can listen to it. And
we have other services.
Well, use other services that are more convenient. But if I'm really looking for that particular album that I want to hear that is out of print and I haven't been able to find anywhere else, that's where you're going to find it.
Yeah. So what's the next one you have?
So my next one is Busy Cow, which is a bit of a crossover to Busy Cow on my Mac. But that is my calendar app of choice. I prefer it. It handles multiple calendars. It handles sharing of calendars so well. I really like the interface. I know there's a number of other sexy calendar programs out there, but Busy Cow, the dynamic duo of Busy Cow on my Mac and on my iOS devices lets me know where I need to be, when I need to be, and lets me track other people's calendars that I need to be tracking as well. So I love it, and I haven't seen any reason to move away from it.
No, yeah, I've heard good things about Busy Calc. I had it for a while, and I stepped away from it. But I'm not as heavy of a calendar user as you are. But I know you use a lot of other services when you try to get your guests to come on and stuff like that. I think Doodle you use, right?
I use Doodle as a way to organize groups without the back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. I know for sure that's a great app. I should relook at that again. Spending more of my money now. The other app I also use for weather is Carrot Weather. I think Carrot Weather is probably one of the best weather apps out there, as far as giving you a good analysis of what's happening in your area. Breaks things down very easily. They also have fun. They even have fun things where you actually can start going and tapping on things. I forgot what this is called. They have do you use Carrot Weather?
I do not. It's one of those apps that's on my list of apps to check out. I tend to use Dark Sky.
Okay. Yeah, I have Dark Sky too as well, because I have to have every app, right? I couldn't bring that information to you if I didn't have these apps. But it does do a very good job of breaking down the weather and searches things very easily. And you could set current locations just like all the other apps. And it's interesting thing it has sitting here right now. It says right now in Chicago it's 33 degrees, and it says don't blame me if this forecast is inaccurate. I'm busy trying to figure out how I'll fit another streaming service content into my schedule. So they put funny stuff in here, and the great thing is that you just scan through a bar and shows where the temperatures and what the weather's going to be hour by hour, and you can keep scanning through, and it just keeps. And it keeps a very easy way of understanding the weather. Like dark sky, it shows what the moon is. Like it's got a crescent moon right now for we have here. So it's a great app. Check it out. I believe it's $4.99. Again, we'll have all the links in the show notes with these apps. So, but it's a really great app. I like it.
Yeah, that's like I say, it's on my list of things to check out. So,
yep,
you may have spent more. You've just endorsed spending more of my money, David.
That's right. What else do you got?
My next one is just an Apple standard, and that's messages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've reached that point where text messages are an important part of business.
Sure.
I'm not going to say never, but just really didn't expect to see text messages be adopted by the business world as much as they are. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing a lot of automatic notifications come out as text, or at least you have that option. And so messages is, again, it does everything that I need it to. It will go cross-platform if you need to, but most of the people I know that I really want to communicate with are in the iOS world, so it's just perfect for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too. I enjoy the way we can you can communicate through text, and it's got, of course. I like my memoji and animojis too. I got to be able to do that. So, I don't do it that often. Maybe some. No, I don't do it that often.
Yeah. I think we were about to get a confession here out of David.
No, I don't do that often. In fact, I haven't probably looked at my memoji in quite a while here. So, emojis, yes. Like I use my fair share of those. But anyway, another app I've got is Twitter. I think I'm a pretty good user of Twitter, and I think the way Twitter has laid out this app, I find it very easy to find things. I've got it set where I get notifications anytime someone tweets something, and of course I'm not picking somebody who tweets things every 5 minutes, but it gives me an opportunity to be able to review. A good example is I like to follow the Mac Observer for our friend Dave Hamilton and crew. So whenever they post something, I see what they're talking about. Same thing with Mac Rumors. So that's kind of a way I can keep track of what news is out there in the Mac world. So some people might want to do this with news, but I like doing that. And another cool thing is I have multiple accounts, so it's very easy to manage multiple accounts because of course I have to follow my personal Twitter account as well as my podcast account and others. So I really like the app. What do you think?
I need to go back and look at the official Twitter app. I've been using Tweetbot now for a long time. And what you said about following TMO and some of those news sources is spot on. I think I think we all need to do a little house cleaning of our Twitter accounts. Get rid of the folks. I mean, nothing against them, but if they're just putting noise into your stream, because Twitter for a long time was a great little news ticker. Yeah. And it kind of got away from it as people started to express their political views.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have anything political that comes up in my feed. So then the great thing is I get just notifications through the notification. Every time I pick up my phone, there's a notification comes through, and I said, it's either Mac Observer or it's Mac Rumors. I get to see what they talk about. So no Donald Trump discussions, no political discussions. Thank you. And that's it. I people say Twitter is dying or it's not as useful as it used to be, and I think that's because of who you're choosing to follow. Exactly.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, exactly. So check it out. What do you got?
Let's see. So I'm going to save that one. So I'm going to go with another Apple standard that I'm in love with, and that is Notes.
Yep.
I've used Evernote. I have used a number of other note utilities. I still use some other note utilities for different things. But I'm finding myself more and more consolidating things into notes because,
Yep.
again, it does everything I need it to do.
Mhm.
And it's built in. And because of the iCloud syncing, it's across all my devices. As soon as I log into iCloud on any of those devices, it's everything populates and it's right there.
Yep.
And it is surprisingly powerful. There are a number of tips articles out there on notes. And,
Yep.
the more you can learn about notes, I think the happier you will be. And you don't have to pay somebody else to use it.
There's even a great Take Control book about notes too, but our friend Josh Summers wrote.
There is indeed. And you'll be surprised at what notes can do. I was when I talked to Josh. It's like, I didn't know it could do that.
I interviewed him too, so I talked about it together. So it's just amazing. I am starting to use it even more and more. I keep all of my show notes. I've got and the cool thing is that you can pin your notes at the very top. So if there's, I got like 4 or 5 different pin notes here that I can get to right away, which I like. And like you said, it syncs across the both iOS and Mac. So I'm looking at my notes on the Mac, and then I can just go right to my iPhone or my iPad, and there it is. And I can edit, and it goes back and forth, syncs flawlessly. I love it. I love the fact that you can actually, when you put links to actual articles, it actually has a little screenshot of each article, and it shows a picture of each one as you click them. That's what I've done. I've created like a links note, and all those links are in there, and they're all little snapshots of each site.
Yeah, and much like you can see in messages, if you paste a URL into a message,
same thing,
a little thing, and I agree with you. It's just those little touches that make it so useful, and I've really enjoyed learning everything that I can do with it, and finding that I can abandon some of the other services.
Absolutely. All right, I think we're winding down here. I think this is my last app, and one I just discovered is called City Mapper. What City Mapper is, it actually syncs where your location is, and it gives you very easy ways of being able to find maps, buses, bikes, bike paths, and even has links to Uber and Lyft. And all these buttons are right here at a tap of a finger here, and it brings, like I just tapped car sharing, and brings it up in the map and shows where I'm located very easily. It has, you could set to get me home and get to work, just like the maps do. You could set a sample place in there as well, and very very well laid out, and it works in most cities, and it is free, which is great. I don't know if you take a look at this one or not, but
I have not. That's I think it's one of those that I've read about when it came out, but I didn't need it at the moment, and it sort of got by me. So that's good to know.
Well, I just clicked city, so it might be limited on cities now I think about it. I'm looking through here, but there's quite a few. Let's see, it's showing Toronto, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Montreal, Boston, so a lot of the big cities, even Mexico, Vancouver, Lisbon. So it's got all over the world. So have to check it out. When I'm in Italy, I'll have to see if there's any place. I'm not going to Rome, so we'll have to see if it has any other places so we can. Hopefully, I'm not driving, but but it's a great little app. Yeah, and that's, I said, the great thing about it is free.
Good.
Nikki, then you got one more to wrap up on, or maybe two?
I will wrap up with one more, and that is the way I end every. Well, no, actually, I have two. You're right.
Package them.
It's tough to. So, but I'll hit them both. First of all, I do use Audible quite a bit. I've gotten to the point that there are books that I need to read. There are books I want to read, and I just can't find the time. And it is surprising how much you can pack in. Again, if you go back to that high speed thing, now Audible can't be loaded into Overcast, but Audible has its own algorithms that will let you speed the reading up.
Nice.
And so, I can get a few chapters done while doing the laundry, or, cleaning out the garage or whatever. And it's a great way to make time go faster, and especially if you got an extra long drive. If you're out of podcasts, or if you just want to just sort of change it up a little bit, Audible is phenomenal. And my last app, maybe I named too many, but anyway, my last app is the way
I packaged YouTube and YouTube TV.
Oh, is that what happened? Yeah, you're right. That's what happened. My last noise is the way I end every day. It's an app called White Noise. I turn white noise on every night to sleep. because that drowns out everything. I learned about using white noise in college to drown out sounds that would normally keep you awake. And it's perfect now because wherever I travel, wherever I go, if I don't have a white noise machine with me, I have the white noise app. And actually, I've quit using my white noise machine in favor of the app, just because that way, again, wherever I go, I've got something completely uniform. So it feels like I'm, as much as possible, I'm at home and get, at least theoretically, a better night's sleep because of it.
Oh, that's awesome. And gosh, we've gone through all our apps, and I think that was a lot of fun. I appreciate you getting us a list, as well as I got a list here for everybody. I think they found out some more things about iOS apps and what they can do. So before we leave, though, I wanted to touch a little bit about MacStock. Yeah, MacStock 2019 is coming soon. It's July 27th, 28th. What do you think about MacStock?
Oh, well, you know what I think about MacStock.
I know, but tell our listeners.
Okay. Well, MacStock is one of my favorite weekends of the year because you're getting together with friends, you're meeting new friends, you're getting to hear some really great presentations. Yeah. It's one of those experiences that when you walk in the door, it's sort of like walking into an Apple store. You walk in and you know you're among friends because everybody there has Apple technology enthusiasm as a common ground. And it's absolutely so much fun. Mike Potter, the organizer, does such a great job from an event perspective of putting together great speakers and putting together a fun event. And of course, Barry Falk also does his thing with the Midwest Mac Mingle. So he's sort of the social director for the day, or for the night, more accurately.
Yeah, night.
So, it's just fun. It is so much fun. It is.
And according to the website, it's 137 days away. So we got a long time yet, but it's going to come up really quick here. And I think it's one of the best bargains out there when it comes to a conference. 2 full days of geeking out and talking about Apple and talking about different things related to Apple and related to technology. There's going to be there's going to be the film festival. That's right. Was already announced through Wally Truinsky, right?
That's one of the attractions. I believe
we've got more to come. And you and I may possibly be announced presenting again. We don't know as of yet. We're not going to steal any thunder yet, but it's nothing official. But I've spoken the last 4 years, and hopefully the 5th, and I've had a blast. I've had an absolute blast. It's really evolved. I've seen it go from its small audience of the first year where we put that event together. When was it, 8-10 weeks that first year?
Yeah,
in 2015. So I got to meet you and meet Allison and meet all the other fun people, and we got to be, like I said, we're now friends, and we've made a lot of new friends, a lot of great opportunities for networking. And we're accessible. I mean, when you went to Macworld, I did not have the opportunity to go to Macworld, and I don't know if I missed it or not. I probably did, but that's ancient history. But you had 10,000 plus people at that event. It was near impossible to try to network with a lot of people. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I think that's something that gets lost here a little bit. Is it's a growing conference, and now in its 5th year, it's an established conference.
Yeah, it is.
But it is still small enough that by the end of the weekend, anybody you wanted to meet and talk to, you have probably had the opportunity to meet and talk to.
Absolutely.
And I love that. And one other point, though, I want to make, David, is that I'm afraid people may think that it's, well, I'm not that experienced, or it's going to be beyond me. Right. No, I guarantee you will come and you will enjoy it. You will learn things. I don't care if you're a rank beginner or someone that's been around Apple tech for years. You're going to walk away with something. And most of the time, it's something very, very useful. So don't feel like it's not for you, because it really is for you.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the great thing. I mean, I love teaching people, whether they're down to beginners all the way up to advanced, and every single person that's either spoke there or comes out who could be an advanced user is very down to earth. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to network with you, and they want to find out what makes you buzz with Apple. And other cool thing is our friend David Sparks and the crew of Mac Power Users, which is a big podcast is going to be recording their 500th episode, which is pretty awesome. So we'll get to watch that too. So pretty excited about that. So come on out. I'm going to have the link in the show notes. It's MacStock2019.com. The 2-day weekend pass is $179. That's like a bargain. Think about some of these conferences that charge thousands of dollars, and there's so much you're going to learn in 2 days with this stuff we do. The way the event goes, it's 20 minutes of a presentation, and then that speaker will also then turn around and do a longer, deeper dive, and you'll be able to learn more about that topic, which is great. And all kinds of other stuff. Just take a look, check the site out. They even got great food. The food has been awesome. Every year we've had the event. So and it's in Woodstock, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago, my hometown, and it's at the McHenry County College at campus, and really nice venue. Come on out. And I think, Chuck, you can say even more. Come on out, right?
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Just give yourself this one treat. And I think, so here's the warning about it. Yeah. If you do it, you're hooked, because you won't want to miss another year. And that's all I can say, because the first year I came, it's like, okay, come and see what it's like. Well, now I don't want to miss it. So
we've been to every one, and and I think it's going to continue. So that's how much else we can say. Come on out, MacStock2019.com. And my gosh, the time has just flown by. We've had a lot of fun here. But tell our listeners where we can find you and all your great stuff that you talk about.
Well, the best place is, of course, my website, MacVoices.com. That's where you'll find all the shows, audio and video versions of each show. You can find me on Twitter as @ChuckJoyner or as @MacVoices. And I'm just on just about every social network you can think of, most of the time promoting the show and hopefully engaging, audience members, and, trying to answer questions and just get people to enjoy their Apple tech. That's what it's all about, and to get to know some of the people behind all the great apps we use.
And as I've said many times, Chuck was the one who inspired me to do this podcast, which is now going on 3 years, which I can't believe. 3 years ago, I did started this podcast up. So, yes, check him out. He's got some great content. Also all your CES content. That was just how you do that every year. I don't know, but check it all out. You're great at that.
Just no sleep. That's all.
You're good at that. So. All right, let's wrap this up. And that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address at feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio. Or better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can follow me on Twitter @DaveG65. Again, Chuck Joyner, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, David, for having me. It's always fun.
Yes, a lot of fun. And thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.